Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
The astronauts that have been stuck in space for months just dropped pictures in Santa hats, and social media is buzzing with questions. First of all, if you didn't know, there are two astronauts that have been stuck in space for a very long time. They go by the name Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore, and in June they went on a space trip that was only supposed to last 8 days, but they haven't came back, and they're not due back till March. Now the question circulating around social media is, where the heck did those Santa hats come from? Because there's no way you packed Santa hats in June for an 8-day trip, and that's where all the conspiracies started. Turns out SpaceX is sending them care packages, and they're getting holiday meals, clothes, and all that good stuff. And then a common question arises. If SpaceX is able to transfer stuff to them back and forth from Earth, why can't they just tag along and come back with them? Especially for Sunita Williams, people are expressing their concern for her dramatic weight loss. I mean, they said they have to eat at least 4,000 calories up there to maintain their weight. I'm no space expert, but I too, just like everyone else, have a lot of questions about this situation.
Who took the pictures? Shout out to You Won't Believe Me Official. I'm happy he showed the care package crate. Like he said, they're able to get them supplies. When they be able to tag along back?
Okay, let's quickly talk about the drones, because there's a major update today on that missing radioactive material. Now, it's likely, or I think we all know by now, that the drones are ours, or they wouldn't be in our airspaces anymore. They know what they are. They're just not telling us. They're likely searching for something, I think, radioactive material. On December 3rd in New Jersey, radioactive material was lost in transit. The shipping container arrived at its destination damaged and empty. This is the description of that radioactive material. I didn't look up what this is. Maybe someone can help us in the comments. But they were saying this is a category 3, so it was unlikely to cause permanent injury to anybody. However, they did say that the radioactive material could possibly, although unlikely, temporarily injure someone who handled it or came into contact with it. As of today, I saw this report on there that's talking about this source that was lost in transit in New Jersey. So they're talking about, this is the same report, just going through. It happened on the 2nd, it was reported on the 3rd. The shipping container arrived at this destination damaged and empty, and then they go on to talk about today's report. So this is the report today that says this incident is closed. Now, apparently yesterday, the missing source was found by the common carrier, repackaged, and returned to the supplier. They're saying the incident is closed, that they have found that radioactive material. Now, obviously, our government is spending millions, if not billions, to do this kind of drone technology. They're saying that it's not ours because they're contracted out from somewhere else, which, okay, fine, that's semantics. I thought it would be weird for them to spend that kind of money just for this category 3 radioactive material, although I don't completely understand what exactly was supposed to be in that shipping container. So now, after today, if we see that drone activity in New Jersey stop, maybe they were looking for that radioactive activity while also kind of getting a gauge on the citizens. And although that was described as not being a huge threat, maybe they were willing to spend all of that money because they're also trying to gauge the population's reaction to something like this. Everyone on the East Coast is talking about it. Nobody on the West Coast is talking about it. How much can they get away with? That is what they're gauging right now. But it's likely that they're searching for something much larger than what was supposed to be in that shipping container. The end of 2020 is seriously starting to feel like a movie, because who would have thought that Bethany Frankel would have inside tips on what's going on with our US government? Yeah, that's right. The Real Housewife of New York, who went on to do many things after that, she is the one who is tipped off and saying, if she leaves the East Coast, you guys leave the East Coast. And I believe that with all of the relief work she's done. If you see Bethany Frankel flee the East Coast, I'd say get out of there.
Shout outs to You Know Nat. Shout outs to Bethany Frankel. I didn't even know there was radioactive material missing, let alone I'm happy it being found. I do agree, the end of 2024 do feel like a movie. Now that we got that out the way, all we got to do is figure out what these orbs are.
Hey friends, time for another New Jersey UFO update. So this one is super crazy. You're going to want to watch this whole video. So what is it about New Jersey? Why is all this crazy stuff happening in New Jersey? Well, apparently this is not new. This has been going on for a long time there, especially around a place called Wanaque Reservoir, where there is something called the Wanaque vortex. And back in the day, there was something called the Wanaque Wonder. So I got a very mysterious message yesterday saying, look into the Wanaque vortex. And that was it. And they didn't respond whenever I replied. So I was like, okay. I love mysterious messages. So I dove in. So Wanaque, New Jersey, is right here. And it's right next to the Picatinny Arsenal, which is sort of like the epicenter and the hotspot where all this stuff kind of originated, right? This whole drone UFO, fiasco going on up in Jersey. So it's like, okay, what is going on here? Why this area? Because this seems to really be the epicenter. I mean, there's crazy things happening all over the world, of course, but there's something about Jersey. So what is it? So going back to the 60s, there was a big UFO flap there. And there was like all these crazy stories. I mean, I dove in, there's a bunch of newspaper articles, a lot of like kind of investigative journalists back in the day did a lot of digging. And there was a bunch of different UFO sightings. A famous one by this Sheriff Cisco. There was this famous, photograph taken by this guy, and all these people saw UFOs, and the way they described them is very reminiscent of what we're seeing now. They'd be like different kind of lights in the sky, like individual lights, like orbs, that would sometimes come together and form helicopters, right? They would mimic our aircraft. Exact same thing that's going on now. This was 60 years ago. And that's where this Wanaque Wonder came from. So many different people saw these UFOs over the Wanaque Reservoir that they even named them the Wanaque Wonder. And like, it was seen by hundreds of people. I mean, this was like an ongoing thing. One time they described the reservoir being frozen over, and there was like a fire over it, and it was melting a hole in the ice, and that the craft was like the saucer shaped craft that kept like turning into like an orange glowing like orb, right? All this stuff is wild, but it's very familiar, very similar to the stuff we're hearing now, but it gets way stranger. So a Dr. Bruce Cornett got wind of all this crazy stuff. One of his friends told him about the Wanaque vortex, and he was very interested in the paranormal and stuff, and he was a researcher, and he set up some like camping expeditions out there, and they took a lot of camera equipment, lights, and that kind of stuff, and they went out to the Wanaque Reservoir to investigate this vortex, right? And these are just some of the pictures that he got. So in this picture, that is Dr. Bruce Cornett, right? That's not. There was nobody there. So at first you could say, okay, well, it was just a, kind of double exposure or something, right? That happens. Well, if you actually look at it, the pose is a little different, the stance is a little different, the lighting's a little different, right? And then there's like, they put this crystal here, and the crystal's stationary, just like he is, okay? And this crystal, see the line behind it, right? Well, it wasn't moving. See, he's not moving, nothing else is moving, but this did that. And they said every time they took pictures of the crystal, it would do that. There's a lot of different pictures of it. So then they started blowing smoke in the air and doing these light flashes and taking pictures and seeing if they could see anything. And they kept seeing these lion figures in the smoke. I thought that was super cool. And then there's this picture. So in this picture, it looks like there's a group of people here, and they're like kind of looking at another group of people over here. But these people aren't there. There's no people there. It was only these people. So that was interesting. And then in this photo, he says that this is him. That's Dr. Corset, that this wasn't there. Like there's no one there, right? So it's like another kind of double exposure. But when you really look at it, like there's things that are slightly different. Like his arm is slightly different and his socks are showing here and they're not here. So it's like it's mimicking him, but it's not him. It's really strange. And it gets stranger. Look at this one. So in this picture, that's him. That's Dr. Corset, and someone's taking his picture. He was there with a group of people, right? And this, right next to him, this is the same photograph. They went and got him developed, and there shouldn't be anybody here, right? There should be nothing there. But when you actually look at this, it's like mimicking him, okay? It's not a double exposure. The pants are a different color. The shirt's different. There's like a bulge in the belly when there's not here. The lighting and the shadows are different. He zooms into the head and does some effects to it to try to figure it out. And like, it's just completely different, right? But it's similar, very similar, but different. It's mimicking. But it's not just a double exposure. You can tell a double exposure would just be this image right here. But it's different, significantly different. You can look at it. The more you look at it, the more things you notice that are different. So that's very telling, because what are we seeing? So he even says possible hologram projection of ET, humorous ET attempted mimicry, right? What have we been hearing out of Jersey? That there's things mimicking airplanes and helicopters. I've talked to multiple people, and they'll tell me, they're like, dude, I know in the photos and the videos, it looks like an airplane, but trust me, when you're here, you'll see an orb turn into a helicopter or turn into an airplane. It's only 100 feet in the air. It sounds like an airplane. It looks like one, but it's like 3 or 4 feet. Like it's crazy. Like it doesn't make any sense. And it's like really messing with people. And people keep using the word mimicking, saying that these things are mimicking our planes and our jets and helicopters and stuff. Well, this guy back in the 90s, when he went there to investigate in New Jersey at the Wanaque reservoir, the Wanaque vortex in New Jersey, the epicenter of all this strangeness, he back then, over 20 years ago, was saying these things were mimicking him, that they were like humorous, like how Jacques Vallée always talks about the trickster element, that these things are sort of playing games or having fun with us, and that they were mimicking him throughout his entire, expedition there. Like, he has tons of photos. There's so many different photos. It's wild. So his conclusion, this doctor, after his, investigation of all this, is that there is an interdimensional portal at the Wanaque vortex, and that there are, ships and energies and beings that come out of it, and that they mimic us, and that's what they do. We don't know why, what their purpose is or anything, but this was sort of isolated back in the day. But it's not isolated anymore. So the FAA has now issued a temporary ban on drone flights in areas of New Jersey, and they just added New York City. So now we're banning, certain types of air flight in the airspace over these places, and it's growing day by day. Sightings are growing, encounters are growing, the restrictions are growing, the anxiety is growing, the nervousness from the administration is obviously growing. This is something that used to be kind of isolated. I mean, these reports from the 60s and 70s and 90s, they were astonishing reports, but it would be, 5 people, 10 people, maybe even like back in the 60s, there was like 100 people that witnessed these things at one time, which is a big deal. But now we're in the thousands. We're possibly in the millions. Like, whatever it is, it's coming from there, it seems, and growing outwards and spreading and spreading. But is this all related to this Wanaque vortex? Is that the epicenter? I don't know. I'm not saying it is. But this kind of mysterious message I got yesterday saying to look into it, the more I looked into it, and I encourage you to too, and I'll put these pictures and everything on my X so you can like zoom into them and everything, because it's strange. And when you actually listen to the reports from the people, it's eerie, because the things that are happening now seem to have been happening for decades and decades, but now they're just going to a whole other level. That's what it seems like. I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts on this whole situation, and especially if you live anywhere near that area. Have you ever had any paranormal encounters or experiences, or saw things in the sky that shouldn't be there? I don't know. Drop me a comment. Let me know. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
The Wanaque vortex. I've never heard of it. Shout out to I'm Alive and Kicking. That was very impressive. Yo, the pictures, man, look like they were looking into a parallel inverted universe. It's crazy what film could capture when it comes to the paranormal.
Okay, so I made a TikTok about the plasmoids in New Jersey, and it had over 1 million views, and it got taken down. So I'm going to share some straight facts with you about a plasmoid crashing in Russia in the 90s, and why these plasmoids might be sentient and intelligent and potentially hold consciousness. This is speculative. TikTok, please just leave this up and leave me alone. New Jersey people have been seeing these They're separate from the drones. They're called plasmoid because they literally look like plasma, the fourth state of matter, and they have to do with plasma, but it's called a plasmoid. Look it up in your own time or go to my plasma intelligence playlist. But obviously it's weird, and too many people are seeing them for it to not be something. I'm sure some images are fake, some are real. That's life. But supposedly the drones are flying around these. Maybe like observing them. Feel free to Google this yourself. November 1989, a declassified CIA document, Soviet military personnel reported encounters with a luminous plasma, referred to it as a plasmoid. These glowing orbs exhibited intelligent behavior, maneuvering in ways that defied conventional physics. According to the declassified report, these plasmoids were believed to be composed of ionized gases that were emitting light due to high energy states. Their erratic movement and their responsiveness led to some speculating that it was intelligent or sentient and an advanced technology. In one notable incident in the paper, a plasmoid crashed in a remote region in the Soviet Union. Investigators found no conventional materials, no metal debris, or electronic components, only residual electromagnetic anomalies. The absence of physical evidence deepened the mystery surrounding these plasmoids' origins and purpose. Now, modern day, what's going on right now with these plasmoids is eerily similar to this. These large luminous orbs floating everywhere. And guess what, guys? They've always been here since the beginning of time and history. Look at my other videos on plasmoids. These are the glowing balls of intelligent fire in the Bible and mythology, the divine feminine, the burning bush, Ezekiel's wheel. And for some weird reason, everywhere in the news, no one is talking about plasmoids. It is only on TikTok. but the evidence is there on these CIA papers. Very similar. Both are unknown origin so far, emitting bright luminous lights, moving around in weird ways. Could this be a resurgence of the same phenomena? This is not the best picture. Or are these manifestations of new technologies that we've learned how to create? Because we can. Plasmoids can also be created in a laboratory. If you follow my YouTube, which is brand new in case any of these videos get taken down, I'm going to do a deep dive on all different types of plasmoids: intelligent, inorganic, sentient, non-sentient, ones that hold consciousness, alien life. And Princeton Plasma Physics is studying these, and they're in New Jersey. Just speculating. Oh, and there are CIA papers on the structure of plasmoids from the 50s and 60s and 2000s, and how one can create a plasmoid or plasma bursts. Do your research yourself. Don't take my word for it. The last thing I'll say about these plasmoids, they are one small piece of a very large puzzle of plasma intelligence and how you can use your consciousness to connect with these plasma beings, this plasma field. Once again, it's very complicated. There are many different things within this. I'm writing a book about it. I've been doing this for years. It's about plasma and consciousness synergy and how to harness plasma with your consciousness and how to also communicate with plasma. You could sign up for it. The link is in my bio, or don't, whatever. If this speaks to you, if this is speaking to your heart and you know this is more than what everyone's saying and you know it's benevolent and you just have a feeling that plasma is more like your grandparent or your family, your soul family, having messages for us to do the right thing, to listen to our inner self and our heart and our soul, to follow our greatest destinies. Yes, this is where reality is going. And some people cannot cope with that, and it really bothers logical people. There are logical people that also dream, but just straight logical people hate this. Just wait for what is in store with plasma. Bye. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. If you're still here, why they hold consciousness? I have a theory that plasma is the vehicle for consciousness. Think of a higher intelligence consciousness as remote viewing us through these plasma warp bubbles. Basically, their consciousness is somewhere else and also viewing us at the same time, like a little looking glass. Remote viewing is also something that was studied by the CIA. Look it up yourself once again. Basically, I think these higher consciousness beings are remote viewing us to see how we are, to try to communicate with us, blah, blah, blah. As I said, some might be government created and are not doing this. Some might, and some might not be. That is for you to decide based on what you think is true and what resonates with you. It does make sense that a higher intelligence would remote view us this way. It keeps them safe. It lets them observe us. Oh my god, wait, for those of you that are still here, you get the biggest Easter egg of them all. In the movie Fantastic Planet 1973, the aliens, they literally meditate with their consciousness and go into these orbs, or what I would call a plasma bubble, to travel and have a mating ritual with beings from other galaxies. If that was happening, that'd be hilarious. But either way, these meditation orbs, this vehicle for consciousness, this is like, someone messaged me this on Instagram, or no, they said this on my YouTube, but this on my Plasmoid video, look it up on my YouTube. This is the perfect example of what I think is happening. Oh my shot. Bite your teeth into that. Eat your Cheerios and watch that. Eat your Frosted Flakes. Eat your organic food. I don't think it really matters because we're in a holographic universe, but anyway, this is cool. Bye.
How many of y'all ever seen Fantastic Planet from 1973? I myself have never heard of it. This is really interesting. Shout out to Dana Kipple. Make sure you go follow. First time seeing her work. It brings me back to the lady talking to the orb, talking about Jesus. What if it was communicating with her? Very interesting. It's almost as if they're cosmic drones. I'm sure there was manufactured drones as well. But the orbs is just a whole different ball game.
Why are people saying that the Pope is unsealing, opening the tomb of Lucifer on Christmas Eve? What's up with that? Lucifer has a tomb? Who knew? I think I figured out why they're saying this. Basically, this is the story. Christmas Eve, Pope Francis, at 7 p.m. Roman time, and I believe Italy is 6 hours ahead of us, is going to live stream the unsealing, the unearthing, the opening of St. Peter's tomb. For those of you that don't know, St. Peter is one of Jesus' 12 apostles. He's also the first pope. And they even bought a brand new webcam that they put under the altar at the Basilica of San Pietro, where his tomb is. In fact, in the catacombs, in the grottos, there are at least 100 popes with their tombs there. Why they're opening up this tomb, I don't know. I can't find the information, and nor have I figured it out. But I did figure out why they're associating it with Lucifer. St. Peter was also crucified like Jesus, but per his request, he wanted to be crucified upside down. Now, some scholars believe that it was because he didn't think he was worthy of dying the same way Jesus did. But others believe that this is where the Luciferian upside down satanic cross, everything backwards stuff came from. Which could be. I mean, I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying it's not. But I believe this is where they're getting that story from. A lot of you may not even know this, but Lucifer is not his name. Lucifer was an archangel before, and he had a very different name, like all the other archangels that end in L. Gabriel, Uriel, Michael, Raphael. They all had the L at the end. So Lucifer and Satan both, when they crashed and fell from grace and crashed to earth, and in the book of Enoch it said they looked like comets coming to earth, the explosions were so great and so devastating that they were reborn to entire different beings with the name of Lucifer and Satan. And then there are other people that believe that they're one and the same. I do not. Because there's so much mythology and history behind the two, I believe them to be two separate entities. So are you going to watch a live stream of the unsealing of St. Peter or Lucy's tomb? Are we going to put that back and just, the ancient Egyptians did teach us to keep our mitts off of these things, and whatever is sealed, to leave it that way. And here we are. Let's open up another Pandora's box. Oh well.
Why on Christmas Eve? The timing's very bad. Shout outs to Christina Bruno 1111. Yeah, I was really confused about the whole situation myself. Either way, it sounds creepy. Might have to watch that live stream just in case. Somebody better have a Ghostbusters on speed dial.
You gotta ask yourself, why would the Pope put a live streaming camera inside of the tomb of Lucifer on Christmas Day? Well, that's next on the trumpet. The Masons and the Pope are going to open the holy door. First, the Pope is going to tap on it with a little silver hammer, and then the Masons are going to remove the bricks and mortar that actually seal the holy door shut. He does his knocking, and then the Masons start chanting one of the Psalms. It's never been done before, and they're going to start this new tradition on Christmas Eve. So the World Wide Web will have symbolic access to St. Peter's tomb on Christmas Eve as they open the holy door. And that's going to mark the beginning of the Jubilee year. The Catholic Church got the whole Jubilee idea from Judaism. And in Leviticus 25, it tells you all about the special year that's focused on restoration and forgiveness. The word Jubilee in Hebrew means yovel, which is a ram's horn. And yes, that is a trumpet. In Leviticus right here, it tells you that the sound of the trumpet announced the beginning of the Jubilee year. So you might say, it's the year of the trumpets. And keeping things in order with the book of Revelation, we'll go through the seals, then the trumpets, and then the bowls. Open the door, it's the year of the trumpets. For Christians, Jesus' declaration in the book of Luke to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor was often interpreted as a fulfillment of the Jubilee spirit. Wow, I just can't wait for Christmas to get my webcam view of the creepy crypt that's underneath St. Peter's Basilica. And that's not a wax museum down there. And as of December 5th, the Vatican hasn't even released a Christmas message.
See, that's the question everybody's asking. But he said it wasn't no wax museum down there. So what was that? Shout outs to the trumpet.
Did you guys hear about the 900 people in Sweetwater, Florida that have to evacuate their homes by May of next year? The city said it's going to bulldoze the mobile home community and build condos there, and the people are upset.
And new tonight, hundreds of people living at a South Florida mobile home park will have to find somewhere else to stay. Letters were posted on their doors today saying that they have to move out by May.
Imagine getting a letter of eviction on your door right before it was Christmas, right? And then you have to figure out where your new home is going to be. These people are upset because they were never giving any type of warning whatsoever. Now, here's the crazy crazy thing, y'all. They started an incentive program for the people. So the earlier they move out of the community, they get more money. You see, and if they move out by January 31st, they get $14,000. I mean, I get it. You're being kicked out of your home, but $14,000. Yeah, you can get another home right now. You literally can get, and as of March, you'll get $7,000. April, you'll get $3,000. But nonetheless, the people have until the beginning of May to be out of the mobile homes.
Not okay. Be throwing us out. Emotions are high. I don't know what's gonna happen. And I'm by myself. I'm alone. I don't have anybody.
And just to let you know, they're not the only ones moving out of Florida. There's a lot of people leaving the state of Florida because like insurance is not paying out anymore. Things are getting a lot more expensive. The animals. But yeah, there's a lot going on, y'all. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let's continue to get this shift, y'all. Peace out.
I take the 14K and leave Florida. Shout out to Conscious Juice. Shout out to Sweetwater, Florida.
Oh my God. Y'all, the UFOs, the drones in New Jersey are chasing these things. That is it. That's the freaking answer. So these are called plasmoids, and the drones are actually probably government drones chasing these plasmoids, and they don't want us to know how important these are. These are magic. These are the plasmas I've been talking about for years. And I will give the credit where credit's due. There are several people who posited that these drones are actually chasing the plasmoids, that the drones are not plasmoids, and I 100% agree. Genius. So what the F are plasmoids? I'll tell you. And I have 115 videos on plasma, plasmoids, and plasma intelligence in my playlist on my bio if you are obsessed with this after this video. Okay, plasma is the fourth state of matter. It is in plasma balls. It is lightning. It is ionized gas that creates fluorescence when the electrons are flurrying around the nucleus and they're free. Crash course on plasma. Non-plasma, plasma. Free electrons, not super tied to the nucleus. This can create fluorescence, which is in the aurora borealis, lightning, fluorescent light, neon lights. Plasma is also the sun and any star. Plasma has to do with sacred geometry, and now let's get into plasmoids. There are several theories that plasma is intelligent, including the intelligent plasma hypothesis by Dr. Massimo Teodorini, who is an astrophysicist and of course an electronic musician because plasma is sound. There's also a book, A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple, which is literally about the science of plasma transforming humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. It talks about plasmoids. And then this is Dr. Massimo's book about consciousness and plasma. So basically these plasmoids have literally been studied by the government since the 50s. And now they're appearing in our atmosphere instead of just space where they can be hidden away to study in private and its magical properties. Yep, plasma is magic. There are several government and physicist papers on plasma. Just Google CIA plasma UAPs. You can also look up this and this in the Journal of Modern Physics about new studies on plasma and plasmoids. This was recent. A couple common things plasmoids have in common are they put you into a flow state. You can literally hallucinate when you see them. They distort light. They also can be found a lot near water. And sometimes even plasma beings or these entities shapeshift from the ship down into these little either plasma balls or humanoid shapes of light and connect with people. They can be seen in the form of toruses, blobs, spirals. They glow. They're electromagnetic. Okay, so these drones that are probably studying these plasmas, this is the kicker. These plasmas are basically fractal and light. And this is where science meets magic, my friends. Sacred geometry, plasma is associated not only with the platonic solids, but plasma is indeed fractal, even in mathematics and science. Especially in quark-gluon plasma, think of it as dying plasma because it basically, when they're in the Hadron Collider or when they're breaking all these things apart, this plasma is shown at the deepest structures of the universe, which I would call dying plasma. My friend actually also thought of that and told me that. And I think that now we'll get into my theory. The opposite of this dying plasma is the living plasma that literally creates everything in the universe. It is the substrate of frickin' reality in this holographic universe we call the Matrix. It is the divine feminine, and these plasmoids are these divine feminine shapes holding the masculine consciousness. Plasma is the vehicle for consciousness. If you go to the link in my bio, you can read on my website all about what plasma intelligence is. Basically, our entire world is made up of a plasma akin to a living ether, and a live ether, which is the medium for light and consciousness. And think of these plasmoids basically as holding these future or higher consciousnesses that are bilocating or remote viewing us. What is that? Basically, bilocation is where your consciousness can be two places at once. So these plasmoids almost create like a wormhole or like a looking glass where these alien entities can view us without actually being here. So they kind of stay safe in case they get shot down by these drones, which isn't going to do anything to them because they're literally higher consciousnesses and we can't do anything to them. And there's also no reason to be scared of them. We should be scared of ourselves. And that's what they're here to tell us, by the way. If you wanted to get into some channeled messaging here, number one, we should be scared of ourselves. Number two, we should stop all of the stuff we're doing that while they're showing up around certain facilities, they don't really want that happening. There's way safer methods. And guess what? Humanity can save themselves by, we're creating the need for fusion and cleaning the air because of the stuff we're doing. There's things we don't need to do that can stop that all from happening to begin with. We'll figure that out eventually. You can think of plasma as ki, prana, energy, flubber. Think of the fact that we're all in a painting. The painting is all made by plasma, but it's in different gradients, densities, colors. That is our universe. So plasma has its own sentience or intelligence apart from consciousness, which means that these entities, these plasma balls, they're actually holding the consciousness, but they think of it as an intelligent horse or an intelligent horse that you're riding. You're the consciousness riding this horse like this, the chariot of the gods. So we're the consciousness, or these beings looking at us are riding this horsey. And this plasma ball is also intelligent and sentient, and it can shapeshift. It can, fly away. It can go very fast, maybe into other dimensions. So plasma is the vehicle for consciousness. So think about when we die, our consciousness goes back to this fountain, this lake, and then it's almost reborn into this earthly plane. It's a more fifth dimensional and fourth dimensional space. And then think of these plasma balls, these plasmoids that you're seeing as this denser plasma, this ship that's holding our consciousness. So it's kind of like everything's made out of clay, and we're scooping the clay and we're adding stuff to it. So it's a ship. I hope that makes sense. Also, something to know, consciousness is the male principle, plasma is the female principle. They feed off of each other almost in a feedback loop or an infinity loop to make the divine child, to make matter, to make God's children, the universe's children, literally everything creation, everything you see on this earth. And something also, us, we are actually the tool. We are the funnel. We are the gold, alchemical gold. We are the vessel. We are the chalice. We are the Holy Grail, and consciousness and plasma feedback with us. And that's how we create our reality, our multi-dimensional experience, is by harnessing consciousness and plasma. Think of consciousness almost as like this fifth dimensional light, what people can call God. And think of plasma as the energy that consciousness molds to create our third dimensional reality. And these plasmas that you see in our third dimensional reality in the form of lightning, stars, these are almost three-dimensional artifacts of a higher dimensional plasma, a fifth dimensional plasma, or a fourth dimensional plasma. Think of fourth dimensional plasma as kind of like dark matter. This is like maybe what gray aliens are made out of. It's more inorganic. And then this fifth dimensional plasma would kind of almost be like think of it in the singularity of a black hole, or in a fifth dimensional space where time and space do not exist. And it has to do with a higher consciousness. And it's kind of like feedbacking with this universe. And this like big consciousness is learning about us as we learn about it. I'm getting on way too much of a tangent, but I'm just trying to introduce you to stuff in case you haven't heard of this before. But I talk about this all the time. Here's the thing. You know truth. I don't have to convince you of anything. You never have to watch my videos again. I do not care. What I care about is saying what I feel like is true in my heart and soul, what I am not being paid to say, what I am saying from the deepest source of my intuition. Maybe I'm wrong, whatever, but I don't think I am. I think plasma is the future. I think plasma is the Holy Grail, and so are we. I think plasma is the return of this divine feminine, but also this age of Aquarius, this divine child. Plasma will have to do with how we travel in the future. It will have to do with interdimensional communication. It's going to have to do with healing cancer. It's going to have to do with cleaning the air. And these things are already happening. It has to do with us being able, when we interdimensionally travel, we're probably going to be using these same kind of things in the future. Oh, but what I was saying is, if this is true, you feel it in your heart and soul. If this is making your cheeks warm, if this is making you excited and giddy, but you also feel like a weird sense of like flow and peace, that this cannot hurt you. Think of it as like a grandparent that lets you make mistakes, and sometimes it says no when you ask it for things, but it really wants everything for your highest good to happen. This is kind of what the plasmas or this plasmatic energy wants for all of us. It wants our highest good, and it doesn't usually interfere, but it sometimes does when we need it. And you can communicate with this plasma at any time. There's the energy of plasma all outside of us. There's our inner plasma. There's our higher self. There's other beings in this plasma field. There's our soul family, which is made of plasma. And the key to all of this is within you. If you've connected with yourself and know who you are, you'll never need, once again, to hear from me again. There's a link in my bio for my upcoming book on plasma intelligence, if you're curious and if this resonates with you.
It's toroidal. Shout outs to Dana Kipple. There's something about what she's saying that kind of do resonate. The fact that they are fractal is very interesting. And also have properties of sacred geometry. It's like what Dead Hidden be talking about. Fascinating. And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm know what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right, run these numbers up. Thanks again. Till next time.